Hi, I'm Emma and I'm here to give some tips on pumping your foil in the surf. I'll talk about technique, where to be in the lineup, and gear. I'll first talk about technique, and a lot of technique is about trying to get as high on the mast as possible and gain a lot of speed. The main ways to get energy and lift are from surfing down the wave itself, also when you're pumping out to sea, positioning yourself with the wind at your back. And when you're pumping out to sea, every time you go over a wave, you get a little bit of lift, especially if you kind of kick up right before you get over that wave. When you're still on a wave, it might be necessary to pump a bit just to maximize speed and mast height as you peel off that wave. Work really hard to get high on the mast. It'll pay off and allow you to be way more efficient pumping later. As you're on a wave, your back foot is back so you can carve, but as you peel off that wave, shift your back foot quite a bit forward and your forward foot back to get a narrower stance. And also, as you're pumping out, keep experimenting with heel toeing in so you can get into a more efficient pumping position. Pump both feet at the same time so you bounce rather than seesaw. And when you're going on the upswing of a pump, bend your knees a little extra to get a slight split second more of a lift. Here I'm really low on my mast, so I lift the nose of my board as a swell goes under me, and that gives me a lot of lift. You can lift up your arms as you go over the backs of a wave to get a little lift, and also keep your board flat or lifted to really feel that glide as you go over the back of a wave. Keeping rhythm is really important, so breathe in time with your pumps and also swing your arms to keep rhythm. Once you get high on the mast, go for these fast little mini pumps that use a lot less energy. Finally, to get a bit higher on the mast, you really want to kick your back foot and give it some extra pressure, like a little ollie, and try to position your foot roughly above the mast too. The second part of this tutorial on how to pump your foil in the surf and connect waves is about where to position yourself in the lineup and also what conditions you're looking for in a surf break. When you're connecting into a wave, point to the top of the wave and also start carving early so when you hit the wave, your board is parallel to the wave or even more pointing towards shore, and so you can just ride down it. Here's another shot of aiming for the top of the wave rather than the bottom of the face, because if you aim for the bottom, you're just going to stall out. Carving is fun, but it takes energy, so don't do it if you're tired. If you're tired pumping out, take the next wave in to recover. And if you don't see any waves on the horizon, take the next wave in and ride it far in to give more time for the waves to develop again. Avoid whitewash and point down the face of an unbroken wave rather than pointing directly to shore. Otherwise, you might go into the trough of the wave and lose all energy. The main times you'd want to point directly down the face of a wave is if you are trying to stay on a really fast moving wave, or if you have a headwind and you're just trying to keep up. And it's actually really nice to point towards the wind when you're going down the wave, because otherwise when you're pumping out, you're gonna have to face that headwind. When pumping out to sea, avoid all foamy areas. It's really hard to pump on bubbles. It really helps to foil in a spot that has a nice channel with no breaking waves or whitewash, and also where there's offshore winds so that when you're pumping out, you have a tailwind. Finally, avoid getting too close to surfers. We don't want them to get too jealous of us. The last thing I wanted to talk about is gear. You want a board that's not too long because you don't want a lot of swing weight, but that has a major trade-off because it's going to be harder to catch waves in the first place and get those reps in. You're going to want a board that's very stiff, but not too heavy. You also want to make sure your mast position is a bit forward to increase lift. Try to get a leash that does not drag in the surf. And for foils, to pump better, you're going to want something higher aspect ratio, maybe something 9 or above, but that also has the major trade-off of reducing your ability to carve in the surf. The
last trade-off that a lot of people don't talk about is if you're a B cup or more, you're really going to want a sports bra with coverage and adjustable straps. I know it's not as sexy as a string bikini, but in my opinion, pumping and connecting waves in the surf is sexy, so you can see what I choose. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you out there. Aloha!